After meeting 21 stalwarts yesterday from the fields of journalism, entertainment, OTT video streaming, and media management, we now move to the next set of 20 stalwarts. 20 stalwarts who are young and who are young at heart, both together yesterday and today. As I noted at the beginning of yesterday's session, the purposes with which India Communications Summit, which is by far in 2021, the largest media, entertainment and communication summit of India, the purposes are as follows. Point one, review 2021 financial year performance of the media and communication industry. This is the last month of the financial year. It's a good time to review. Purpose number two, preview what is in store post-pandemic in 21-22, the next financial year, which starts 3 weeks from now. Purpose number three, look at the web-led media and communication, which has come to stay for now, perhaps forever, or at least for a very long time. The era of standalone siloistic media perhaps going down, and from a print-led field of media or domain of media in the 20th century, we had moved to electronic media-led media and entertainment in the 21st century, and perhaps now moving permanently or strongly to the era of media and communication convergence, IT, telecom and content convergence, and web-led communication. And the next purpose, the last purpose, yes, content is at the heart of any communication. Content is king. Context is the kingmaker, but very significant is to understand monetization of content in this web-led media scenario. Whereas we are getting viewers, listeners, consumers in a way from palm top to laptop. Whether we are getting the money, the mullah, we are not too sure. And therefore, looking at the possible business models of a web-led media scenario is the other purpose. With this and the last purpose, if the media and entertainment industry as a whole, which is 1.72 lakhs crores according to FICCI Frames, which is $23 billion, nothing in comparison to $1.9 trillion of the American media and entertainment industry. If that is the case, that we are moving towards that, a web-led scenario, where FICCI itself is promising predicting a $50 billion industry by 2025. And yesterday, Ashish Kulkarni said, mentioning several facts, that it might actually be crossing $85 billion by 2030. If that's the case, that's almost 4 times of what it is now. If that is the case, do you have the wherewithals? Do we have the infrastructure? And do you have, most importantly, the required talent? Because the talent is still being educated in the 20th century models of media education. Keeping all these in mind, India Communication Summit has brought together a galaxy of 42 speakers, 41 speakers, 21 of whom had addressed yesterday and 20 shall be addressing today. And our inaugural session today is being addressed by someone for whom Advertising Club of India changed its mandate and memorandum to have him as the continuing president for beyond the 2 maximum terms, is someone who has redefined the old lady of Boribandar and made it look like a young lady of 20s for a long, long time. I don't know whether you are getting what I'm trying to say. I'm sure you are getting it. And someone who has worked across all forms of media, television, online, that's digital today, print, obviously, and also on ground in activation. We are talking of Dr. Bhaskar Das, who has led some of the best known media organizations of India. Times of India, starting from a junior position of Times of India, moving on to become its president, Response Times of India Group. And this research and marketing R&M is something that he has developed very effectively and efficiently. initiated by Pradeep Guha and fine-tuned by Dr. Bhaskar Das. He's currently the group president of Republic TV, has been in media and brand management for more than 3 decades, has been the group CEO of Zee Media, is a speaker, a qualified certified tutor with a PhD in media management and going for a second PhD now. For those in media who say they cannot blend academics and profession, here is one example. And for those in my profession, that is academics, who say that they cannot do justice to any industry work while they are academicians, here is an example. And he is also a media lab mentor for MICA, India's best-known communication school, and a distinguished professor in SP Jain Management College, another distinguished management school. A man who straddles from strategy to monetization to creation of intellectual property. One who says, I'm good at operations, I can't do strategy. One who says, I'm good at strategy, I don't know the operational part. Here is an example. And with this such background, a man in his 60s with his heart in 20s, can we now welcome Dr. Bhaskar Das to talk about how was the 2020 for media and communication? How shall 2021 be? And do some crystal gazing for both talent and production or the industry in times to come. Over to Dr. Bhaskar Das for his inaugural talk.
I have to remember, first of all, good afternoon and thank you very much for very gratifying introduction. I don't know whether I deserve it, but thank you. I'm humbled by your generosity. Second part, you have given a complete download on the way the challenges of the industry that you have mentioned. And if I remember the sequence, first one was 2021 financial year, which is getting over within next 1 month. Actually, the answer is very simple. Mayhem. It has been very bad for everyone because not only for media industry, come to think of it, the whole industry. Apart from, if you segment them in terms of impact, I find the atom businesses are doing very well. I'm talking about Byju's and the upgrades of the world. So atom businesses are doing well, but the byte businesses are not doing that well. Byte business, I mean the businesses that have digital face, but proximity as when it comes to fulfillment. So I'm talking about say online travel. I'm talking about aviation industry. So that hospitality industry. So even if you have an Ola or Uber, but proximity is their fulfillment. And third is the proximity business is completely vanished in the sense because obviously for social distancing. So this is a classic case in human history to my mind, where medical, economic, social, livelihood, life, everything has been challenged and upended all assumptions of business and affected every business, apart from the way I mentioned. So if you look at it, the impact has also affected. Today we are discussing media and entertainment industry. It has also affected badly. And most importantly, it is also by structure impact is different. Say for instance, as per the latest estimate, the advertising, the ADEX has come down by 15,000 crore in terms of the above the line investments. And if you take into account below the line, I have no clue because there is no such recording, but they say it's a 50,000 crore business. To my mind, 50,000 crore have gone. It obviously once the vaccine has come, things have started doing and people have the resilience to come out with new solutions. But fact remains, in one word, the impact has been very bad in the media sector. Number of reasons for that. One is, of course, the monetization that you mentioned. But monetization is only one part of it. Even fresh content creation became a problem. Distribution became a problem. Even producing content became a problem. So imagine suddenly journalists are working from home. I know in my channel, people are still, they have to go, if they don't go out, how do they get stories? but we're taking interviews in a virtual manner. So the whole concept of work from home, or a hybrid model of work from home as well as from office, is of a different way. I don't think any HR department is ready for this kind of turbulence. And now that it is opening up, before you go to 21, 22, now that it's opening up, but if you look at it, there are always this talk of second wave coming. The vaccination have started, and they say it may not actually save you from the second attack, but perhaps it will be treatable. So if you look at it, economy is reopening, and different markets, when I say market, I mean geography, different sectors are reopening and reinventing uh, their business, because they have no choice, because the basic principle of this reinvention, I think, will remain unchanged for quite some time. But companies must show now their resilience, that how the pandemic is progressing, how they have their possibilities of recurrence in different geographics, and accordingly companies must outmaneuver this uncertainty, which will be staying, to my mind, it will continue in 2022 also. Outmaneuver uncertainty by course correcting, and course correcting again and again, not one time. As circumstances change, continuous revisit assumptions, reevaluate scenarios, and strengthening their ability to sense and respond. These are the new capabilities. And morning evening strategies are changing today, and that is what is most important, that your flexibility, nimbleness, openness to change, because market is very dynamic. Now I'll come to the specific challenges, but just want to tell you 21, 22 will be like this, with different degrees of so-called recovery curve. Someone will be V, someone will be W, someone will be K, but fact remains, it will be a very turbulent space. Even if your vaccine comes, because it's not guaranteeing that there will be no more upsurge. If you go by experience of Japan, you look at European countries, and US, of course, is there. It is not so easy to get the disease eradicated. And I have a personal view of this, that this is not the last epidemic we are seeing, because we are invading into the domain of the animals, and we are going to get more and more such diseases. So if you take out that negative assumption, but more importantly, it's a fact that people are looking for the new normal. I said, there is, why this fetish for normalcy? There will be no more normalcy. It will be never normal. If you get ready for a never normal scenario, I think it will be easier to handle life. So this is my initial comment in the context of your two questions, but maybe I should add a little bit more regarding 21, 22. I have a feeling that Indian corporate will be smarter, because already a lot of companies, if you look at the first 3 quarters and the fourth quarter, the corporate results are showing better results. If data has to be believed, even GDP has come into positive. So, and there are predictions going around that the India market will improve. And I believe in India's story, and I have a feeling that Indian corporate will stand up, and including media. The specific to media challenges for 21, 22. See, the key challenges today, media has always treated itself as a vertical entity, which by this I mean television, film, print, radio, digital, etc. This is the biggest problem. When the audience have shifted to a screen agnostic market space, I can't imagine corporation is behaving vertically. I'm not saying verticals will vanish. They will have their own models of survival. But it is very critical skill for the students especially. You have to think vertical, but you have to act horizontal, which means you understand the implication that you are not alone in this ecosystem. In this ecosystem, you get used to a media agnostic landscape. Focusing on technology allows that. Focusing on direct to consumer or D2C. Everyone thinks it's a B2C business or B2B business. Today, it's a D2C business. And if you look at products and differential technologies for acquiring content, for retaining and engaging audience, and for transacting and monetizing content. So fundamentally, these are the 4 or 5 tasks that would determine. As a result, you would see suddenly how the segment agnostic landscape look like. I'm saying there will be content producer or IP owner like Disney, Balaji, Applause Entertainment. These are entities which owns the license to content. So the capability of the students have to be developed. Does he want to be, or would he be interested in joining the content producer? Is he interested in the second option, aggregator? The entities which aggregate different pieces of content on a often repurposes, like Sony, Hangama. Will they join a distributor? Distribution has a new meaning. Entity which builds and operates the network to distribute the content of the service. It can be telcos, ISPs like Jio, Airtel. It can be Tata Sky. It can be a platform also. The next one, the 4th one, entity which operates a content-based service and builds its own brand. A brand which connects with end consumer and recognizes it. I'm talking about Netflix. I'm talking about Amazon. I'm talking about Radio Mirchi or Radio City. And then finally, the device. The device, which is the operating system, on which the service of the content is consumed. It can be Apple operating system, it can be Android, it can be Samsung, including your speakers, your Alexas of the world. Now, each of these above has different matrices of success. Each of the content owner, the metric of IP licenses, their ARPU, their monetization. In fact, the monetization will happen increasingly in the intersections, in the intersection of technology, advertising, content. So the monetization current problem with media is overemphasis on advertising. And that is one of the reasons why print is suffering. We shall discuss it later when we go further deep into the matter. But fact remains that if you understand that this is the unfolding scenario, it has already happened. Consumer has already gone to 4.0. The media companies are still around 2.5. It is understand this, that the segment agnostic landscape will force traditional media companies to redefine themselves into one or many different sectors. They will be simultaneously operating. For example, many traditional broadcasters in the new media landscape are redefining themselves as content producers. You know, Z Films are there, not Z Film as a channel, Z Film Studios. While some others are aggregating, and yes, others are placing their bet on building consumer platforms, end consumer platforms. Newspaper companies are creating audio and video content in their digital avatars, building digital destinations and serving more needs of their communities through transactions and classified and so on. So content production houses have launched D2C platforms and invested in theatrical distribution. Telcos have launched D2C platforms and invested in content production. So if you look at it in a digitalized world, every media segment can directly connect with the consumer and stronger the relationship, better the engagement, better the retention, better the monetization. This is the fundamental principle. 21, 22, if these principles are followed, they better get ready. Because that's what is the new grammar. If this is followed, I can tell you there is nothing to worry. Every media will exist, but you have to rethink, recalibrate your business model. This obsession or morbid attachment to business model is actually affecting many sectors, especially legacy medium, who loves their way of working. But, you know, as I always believe, the beginning of life is the beginning of death. and death is the beginning of life. COVID has given us an opportunity to live again by causing death to our dogmas, ideas, protocols, past practices. Extrapolation is no longer a virtue because you have to do now future backward strategy and not present forward. This is true for educational institutions, this is true for every business. If you are, because past has no future, and future you have to invite today in anticipation. The student who is going to be graduate after 2 years, the world will be changed. I can tell you 2030 job designations have not yet been invented. I'm seeing in my institutes, marketing recruitments, MD recruitments are getting affected. They're looking at different kind of capabilities. And as someone mentioned, copability. Copability is very important. Are you flexible? Are you a team player? Today, designations don't matter. Cabins don't matter. What matters is delivery. Are you delivering it in the changed circumstances? Your first ability to learn. So the whole concept of know-it-all have to be forgotten. That why I'm embarrassed. I remember Momita asked for my CV. I told, I'm against any introduction. You have given introduction in spite of my reservation, because how students or even audience is interested in my past. What is important is what I delivered today. There's nothing called legacy. Legacy is a pain point to my mind. The question is that future will not go with legacy. Future generation, future challenges, future complexities have to be handled rather than getting worried, because worry is no preparation. And if you want to win there, winning loves preparation. So if you prepare for a future backward strategy, 21-22 will also be fantastically good for the media sector. I stop here just to, instead of boring you with continuous one-sided monologue.
No. That was very, very good. I couldn't even note down the concepts that you are using. So I begin on the comment side before I invite questions from others, and I should also put some questions myself. First of all, there are viewers from Manipur, there are viewers from New Delhi, from Kokrajhar, Assam, and Jamshedpur, and even one from South Africa, apart from Bengal, Pune, Mumbai, apart from them. So I would ask everyone to please, at least those who are in the Zoom, to put questions here in the chat box. I will take those questions for our inaugural speaker. But those questions which are coming on Facebook or YouTube can be WhatsApp to me, maybe from the back end. Okay, coming to what you just now said, I was trying to actually, you said copability, ability to cope. I was trying to cope with the flow of the ideas that you were giving. Actually, I was trying to cope with that. So openness and nimbleness to change, because the strategy and situation thereby strategy can be changing on a daily basis. That was very significant. Screen agnostic media space. We are moving to a screen agnostic. I used to call it mid convergence. You have taken it to another level, screen agnostic. So whether it's the screen on the hand, screen, the silver screen, or television, or whichever is the screen. But screen has a big role, more than the paper. Now that's the interesting thing. You have redefined the role of the newspaper for some 3 decades while working with the Times of India group. Now, do you think the the newspaper has come to an end? It's just a question of time, 10 years or 12 years or 14 years, whatever. And then the newspapers don't exist. Do you think so?
See, let's not get specific to an organization. I'll let you talk about the medium. End comes because you want to end yourself. I know death is inevitable. It's a default reality. So every medium dies, and astrological prediction is not one of my strengths, so I can't comment. I strongly believe every medium can survive. They can carve its own niche. But this morbid attachment to business model is what is killing every business. If you look at Kodak, if you look at something else, today print has gone to 3rd position. If you look at within print also, language print is doing very well. Incidentally, it may not be exactly pre-COVID times, but is much better than English print. Why is this? Because one of the reasons is that COVID has affected those tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns very differently. In fact, this time recovery, post-COVID or post-pandemic recovery is being led by Bharat or tier 2, tier 3 cities,
Wow.
as opposed to India. India is suffering. One of the reasons is because of our multi-storied buildings, because of our the influx of population, because of COVID spread is much. I'm in Bombay, so I can imagine the kind of COVID problems are there in my society and everywhere. So we live here vertically, big multi-storied building. Whereas in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns, there are time and there are people are going to multiplexes, they're going out for dinner, they're not using masks also. You can look at the Motera Stadium, that you can see how many masks are being worn. So I'm saying that the impact is different. That's one of the reasons, of course, their recovery. But coming back to specific to your question of print, what is print's problem? Print has followed a model for long. It has worked. Print has the biggest advantage. I consider two big advantages of print is that they get 24 hours to verify stories. So generally stories are more credible because they're fact checked. Second thing, print is a passive medium but active audience. So it's a volition-led immersion and not thrust on you. So you have an advantage of that. But then I think the investment in journalism is slightly suboptimal. I always give this quote of New York Times. You have to go and study, in case you have not studied, Ujjwal, about New York Times. It has become such a behemoth that people are getting scared because just simple shift from a focus around 5 years back that they are not in newspaper business, they're in news business. The moment you are news business, you are screen agnostic. You are doing podcasts, you have got video journalism, you have got everything. You are incidentally bringing out a paper in the morning, and that costs $2.50. I'm not asking you to convert it, but it's definitely not 2.5 rupees. If I tell you if a newspaper is 15 or 20 rupees in this country, every newspaper would be saved. But people will think, if I make it 20 rupees, you will stop reading your favorite newspaper. I don't think that happens. But you cannot just tomorrow morning, make it 20 rupees. What you need to do, invest in journalism so much that you don't mind paying. If you look at New Yorker, you look at Economist, you look at Harvard Business Review, fine, it's for the management students and management professionals. But Economist is a classic example. So even in our country, Hindu has taken leadership in cover price, but still it is nowhere near which can cover the DVC of the paper. Point is that if you do 15 rupees, you are profitable. The subscription to advertising ratio goes down to 50-50, every media will survive. Now, radio has its challenges, they're 100% revenue. News channels have challenges, 100% advertising revenue. So what happens if it's 100% dependence? When the advertiser catches cold, advertiser sneezes, they catch cold, the media houses, because you are dependent on advertising.
Right.
So advertisers were suffering for the last, before COVID also, because of various economic reasons. They are suffering. COVID has only given the last blow. So when their business is affected, obviously they will stop advertising. Second is they have got today measurable media like digital.
Yes.
They have got, and it's measurable. It is geo-targeted. It is cost optimization. It is delivery, most importantly. So there is outcome matrices. So if you look at it, digital is not a media. Every company, to my mind, is a technology company today. So digital is part of life. Why the people call it is not mainstream? It is the mainstream. So if people consider and think business horizontally and not thinking vertically, every business will survive. So you don't have to really think of the demise of any medium. The demise happens because of the myopicness of the corporations and not because of the media.
Great. If you're in news business and not newspaper business, the whole dynamics change. Undoubtedly true. And as you rightly say, that the certain printed publications can survive, provided the value attached to it by the consumer is much higher, and they're ready to pay much higher revenue or higher price for that. So taking the question further of understanding print now, let's move to the other. I have a question from Mr. Chakradhar Morana, most probably from Odisha. He's asking, during the COVID-19 lockdown, I thought electronic media was playing a very important role, more than the print media. What's your opinion on the future of the electronic media?
Yeah, the person who have questioned, his deduction is right, because people are locked in at home. Suddenly, whether it is news channel, suddenly it is OTT platforms, everything was going through the roof because of the fact that people are bored and they are watching, they are working from home. So obviously people have to entertain themselves. Ultimately, media is escapism. You have to entertain yourself. You can't go to the movie hall. So that's the way. You don't have fresh content in entertainment GEC channels. So there are challenges. Now, on that basis, you don't determine. I think TV will continue to be a dominant medium in this country for a couple of reasons. Number one, even today, India is dominantly one TV household. Second is, everyone in this country need not have access to various forms of entertainment. So when gaming is going up, you must understand only 5% of Indian population would be playing that. Or when you see that video consumption is going up amongst the tier 2, tier 3 towns, it is the mass which is doing it. So not necessarily a typical news channel. So it's a fact, COVID time, news was very critical and news channel viewership went through the roof. So television, even today, as per the latest estimate of the total ADEX or the advertising expenditure, they are 42%, followed by digital, which is around 35%, and then followed by print, which is somewhere around 22%, plus minus something. The question is that the TV serves one purpose, one-to-many, active medium, passive audience. There is emotive connection. It serves a purpose, and majority of Indian population are connected to television, and where is not a literacy is always a must for a GEC channel to see a Big Boss and so on and so forth. So or a Kaun Banega Crorepati, that stickiness is huge, that appointment viewing, there is no doubt about it. So TV will continue to be the number one medium till the time post 2000 bond becomes the chief wage earner. But then also I have a feeling it will continue, because they will consume TV through this first screen, which is your mobile. With 5G coming, I think mobile will be the first screen of consumption. And even today, all OTT platforms, those who have got their channels like Z or Viacom, they are 90% of the viewership in their OTT platform in the mobile is essentially a catch-up TV. Right. So I'm not telling it will not change. It can change, but fundamentally TV would continue to dominate Indian media scene for some time. But they have to also change in terms of, there are 900 channels, close to 900 channels. It will not be easy. 400 news channels. If you look at it, they're all heterogeneously homogeneous. Everyone is saying everyone is breaking the same story, but still more channels are getting launched. Everyone is breaking stories. So the question is that how do you come back to that principle I said? How do you acquire? How do you engage? How do you retain? How do you transact? How do you monetize those audiences? The bigger the retention, the bigger the engagement, bigger the immersion, there'll be bigger monetization. Right. And don't forget, all of them have their digital avatars. So in digital avatars, also engagement happens. Analytics are used for the newsroom. So they're also getting smart in terms of leveraging the analytics of the newsroom of digital to the newsroom of television. Print is also doing it, but there is always a 24-hour gap. You miss out on breaking stories. Right. You break into stories, but you can't break stories. That's the challenge.
So you can go deep dive. You can do other aspects that you can bring in. Yes, there is this aspect of snacking. So you can bring a big television story with a small snacks, a 30-second or a 1-minute snack. And that 1-minute snack can lead someone to the full story through the handheld set.
Correct.
So that is a very important point that you are saying, that people will consume television but through the mobile. That's very interesting way of looking at it. Many arguments.
No, mobile also, Ujjwal, mobile's advantage is today, if you look at someone, the alpha generation, post 95 born, generation Z, they feel constrained. If it is one television, I have to see. Everyone cannot see all channels. When the father comes, he will run his own channel. The question is that anytime, anywhere, especially young generation who are working outside, even sitting on an Uber, they can see their favorite show in a mobile. So you have to understand it facilitates anytime, anywhere viewing. Now that's the advantage of the ubiquitousness of technology. So you need not be constrained to a place.
Right, indeed. I also would like to bring to you another question that has been flagged. Sandeep Ghotak from Calcutta. Hello, sir. I would like to know if content digitization in Indian regional languages will pick up, especially after when government is pushing so much on the use of vernacular or Indian languages. What kind of sectors will get boost from such initiative?
See, digital content will the digital content in regional languages is already booming. In fact, Google itself has done it today. We see this in Dainik Bhaskar, Dainik Jagran, and also in South Malayalam Manorama, as well as in Nadu. So regional content will always prosper because fact remains, we see the world through our prism. How many of us know English well? So the tier 2, tier 3 towns, those content, those media companies, where it will grow. Now the choice is between doing it in-house or outsource it. So some part news cannot be outsourced because it has to be within the campus of the company. But usually it is outsourced for non-news. If you look at research shows in digital, news is just not consumed as news. News has larger definition than Northeast, Southwest. News has a definition of health, self-help. You have got knowledges, information, native content, lot of things happen there. Gossip, filmy gossip, and other kind of celebrity gossip. So that 50%, that kind of business will do very well if there are good content writers, because media companies are not appointing, but there are aggregators who can create and deliver it at a syndicated price.
Yeah.
Well, sir, there is one interesting question I can see in the Q&A box. I guess two questions are related.
Okay, yeah.
Bhaskar, if I can ask that.
Yes.
Sir, is it digital age of convergence in media? How you access the future of newspaper industry in India?
I think he has already spoken about it a bit. But anyway.
The second question which correlates to it is, what is your view on how legacy media groups' ability to adopt to a world where advertising is no longer a dominant contributor to the revenues, and what can they do to adopt to moving to subscription revenue-based models? Can every media group have a place in the sun for the Indian environment?
Yeah, this question from
very long question. Let me answer the first question, and then perhaps you have to repeat the second question. The first question, if I remember, can you repeat the first question?
The digital age of is the digital age of convergence in media how you access the future of newspaper industry?
See, first I talk about this convergence bit. I have a different view from everyone. When you talk about convergence, people get confused. Convergence in thinking, but divergent in execution. So convergence, pure play convergence, you will give the same shit everywhere. Okay, it's not the question of that. Convergence is in thinking, is in the mind.
Right.
First thing is that it has to happen in the mind. But device-wise, it will change. Can you imagine a quarter-page ad in television or in digital? It's not possible. Same thing, a 500-word article is dead in digital. Headlines have to be different, interesting. BuzzFeed used to do that, if you recall. So the question is, you have to treat the medium with its characteristics, but you have to think agnostically. So that is the most important part. So convergence of media, but divergence of execution.
Right. That's the right.
Those who are at the back end must have the multiple capabilities. That's a different subject. But fundamentally, that's the way to do it. And companies which do not believe in that, I think their mortality will be in doubt. That I am in newspaper business. I am in TV business, digital, I don't believe. Now with this, so ultimately it's a mindset issue. If you read that book by Satya Nadella, he said that, in the Refire, he said that he was an outsider, insider. He was in a different division when he succeeded Bill Gates. That one of the reasons he said that I found that we lost to Google and Amazon on the cloud is because we have a fixed mindset. He said it took me years to change the culture, and culture can eat strategy into breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The culture was of a fixed mindset. He ultimately took time to ultimately shift it to a growth mindset.
Right.
Growth mindset is a flexible mindset because context change. You cannot say that in 1980 when I joined this industry, that context has changed. That time print was 80%. Today they are not even 25%. When the context changed, but you are behaving in the same way.
Right.
That time
Agreed.
it was 2 rupees, now it is 3 rupees. It doesn't work that way. So remember one thing, formats don't die. Business models die.
Right. Dr.
The
Das,
problem is our mindset.
Right.
So the second question, though it was long, fundamentally, I cannot say the future. Future is in the mind. Future, you have to create it. You have to understand how the audience have changed. It's a simple principle. I don't know why people can't follow. You just see how you as a consumer are behaving. Ask your students, look at your younger colleague, niece, nephew, who is 15-year-old. Look, see the world through his prism. Don't see it through my prism. I'm over. Criticality is look at future backwards.
Right.
How they are going to consume media. If they are consuming media agnostically, you have to change your business model accordingly. You cannot go by the fact because I am the owner, because I have done this, because it has worked in the past. Nothing works what has worked ever in the past.
Dr.
History
Das,
has no value.
Dr. Das, the point is very well taken about future backward, not present future, but future backward. Not present forward, but future backward. That point is very well taken. And just the last question would like to bring to you. It's already 45 minutes. Very good, very engaging indeed, and lot of food for thought. But the same formula, future backward, applying in the context of the new talent coming in the industry. Would you like to say something? How future backward approach can be put forth while training, preparing, nurturing new talent, fresh talent for the industry?
See, usually they say if the student hasn't learned, the teacher hasn't taught. So the question is, has the teacher learned?
Great.
That is the first point. Because the teacher was taught, like I was taught in a period,
30 years ago,
40 years back, nothing is applicable now. So you have to understand, first thing is that you have to shift your mindset. I always say mindset from know it all to learn it all. And that's why I'm embarrassed by experience. Second thing is that media context I'm telling, media landscape have changed, but fundamentally technology change is across medium, that it is shareable, it is one-to-one, it is interactive, it will flow. So in a sense, future has become predictable. Nothing will change, only the accelerated pace of change happens in terms of bandwidth, in terms of speed, and so on and so forth. So the critical part is that, see, your teachers are today teaching online. I don't think they are used to it, but today they have learned it under pressure. I have seen this in MICA, they are facing problem. I myself find it very irritating, but still I do it because that's the way to do it. In class, you get reaction. When you are teaching online, everyone is switching off the video, so you do not know what the hell is happening. Okay, now this is a new world order, so you have to accept it. The next part of this for the students, they have to think that you have to always be a learner. Second thing, I feel they have to also know that they have to create some adjacent capabilities. Please understand, learning happens at the intersections. So all academic curriculum must include those intersections so that a student of a typical print or media or television can pivot to all those 5 things that I have mentioned, 5 other new horizontals. And then third thing that I feel, which is very critical, is about every 2 years your knowledge gets redundant. You have to constantly create those adjacent skills. So you have to be vertical in your area, but horizontal skills are required because you can pivot. Jet Airways band ho jata hai, so you can't help it. company. So sectoral obsolescence is inevitable, corporate obsolescence is inevitable, but cognitive obsolescence need not be. So how can you remain cognitively obsolescence free? So if your student believes and your institute goes on, takes the responsibility of the students for life by reskilling them, not upskilling, reskilling, and by upskilling, not reskilling, upskilling them for the new media, and for especially in the context of media, they have nothing to worry, because people need good workers, people need multitaskers, people need committed people, people love nimbleness, and people love that someone who is a learner.
Thank you. While in medicine and others, this continuous learning and upskilling is very well accepted. Unfortunately, I'm saying it, unfortunately, in media and communication, both the learners and the mentors do not find great outcome or output of it. Unfortunately, in freshers, refresher program for media professionals hardly join. That's the reality in life. Even if you call
Yes.
industry professionals, they hardly join. But the suggestion is very good. Upskilling is required, particularly for those who are in the profession for more than 10 years. It's already time up, but still one question, because this comes from Andhra Pradesh. If you'd like to answer it, 1 or 2 sentences. Tejal Bhatt from Andhra Pradesh asks, is there any program for freshers to get trained and direct placement in government sector or in industry from the government? I mean, he's working in government maybe. That's why he's asking, is there any program like that?
See, you will see a program soon. I don't want to talk about it now because I am personally mentoring it and creating it. You'll see a program soon. It will happen by July, August. See, you acquire capability. Working in government or private sector is a matter of attitude.
Right.
Because business work is same.
Right.
But government might give you a security. In private sector, there is no security. These days, even government jobs are not secure because you get transferred. So what is critical is that acquire this skill. I agree with you that there is no such program, but I can tell you one thing. You can keep my email ID. If you see this course, I can tell you one thing, the way I've designed it, it will be taught by 100% practitioners.
Right.
And I'll codify it and make it a book also.
Right.
This, you will see that there will be absolutely screen agnostic media course.
Great. That's welcome. And codification is very important because often the industry professionals end up by anecdotal learning, anecdotal mentoring, rather than codified, structured discussion. So that's a great thing if it happens in that way. I think we could take 6 or 7 questions from the audience, and that is quite good. And for the last 50 minutes, Dr. Das has enthralled us. He started by saying that he's embarrassed about his introduction being said. Let me tell you, the baggage, quote unquote, baggage of introduction is only the first step. What is important is the footprints. So I would end up by saying, it's not important what baggage you bring in when you come in, but the baggage was important to understand, to position the person to understand what to take from him. So it's not important what baggage you bring in when you come in. What's important are the footprints you leave when you walk out. Here in this case, when you move out of the screen. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhaskar Das, for an enthralling 50 minutes discussion on the recent past and the future of media, communication, entertainment, and its education as well. And bringing this formula of future backward and not present forward. We'll remember this future backward in times to come and try to be nimble enough to cope up, to create not only capability, but copability as well. Thank you very much.